Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I've got a really important program for you today. I'm going to title it, Is 2024 the Year? There are so many things happening. Let me give you a brief overview of some of the prophecies that we're following that apparently are about to happen. First of all, August 3rd, 1984 was when the angel came to Dmitri. 40 years later puts it in 2024 for the fall of America. We don't know that it's going to happen in 2024, but in that it's 40 years later, we can at least say it's getting close. Second thing, October 11 to 13, somewhere in that ballpark, is the Day of Atonement. And well, I've got at least two people that say that 2024 is the year of the Jubilee, which only happens once every 49 years, and then it lasts a whole year. And the Jubilee means that all of our debts might be removed, all land is returned, and slaves are set free. Talking about us, slaves of the Federal Reserve, slaves to the federal government, that long story. Next, are we about to see a new financial system come in? Are we about to see massive arrests? We're talking about like in the ballpark of 400,000 people being arrested, no small thing. Now remember, Shane Warren was told that there would be a financial storm, followed by the dollar going down a third. Some other people said that. He said down to zero, worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. And the thing that would start that was when they started selling oil in another currency other than the dollar, and that started June 9th, 2024. Next point. BRICS just happens to be coming online. They believe that they're going to bring it online at their summit October 23, 24. That could be what Shane Warren was told, the death of the dollar. And today, one of the things we're going to talk about, Groover said, well, he was told by an angel speaking to him, when Russia opens her doors, it will be the fall of America. I'll tell you more about it. Warren also was shown, give us our entitlements. A budget bill that is now currently trying to get passed may be causing the government to shut down. That would mean no money goes out. That means no food stamps, no entitlements, no Social Security, no checks going at all from the government. That may happen in the next 2 weeks, and appears to be, because the Republicans are saying, we want you to approve, no one can vote but citizens, and the Dems are not going for it. So that could be a stopping point. Next thing is probably the early part of next year, from like April the 11th to June 1st, we could see Israel split, and then God split America with an earthquake. Also, we're going to be talking about today, the UN approves a bill forming a world government. Now it's just a matter of sticking the nations into going along with it. Also, there's about to be a dock worker strike from everything the articles are saying. And that would begin to close most ports, just like Dana Coverstone was shown. All right, so if you have an IRA, 401k, or if you need gold or silver, 800-200-GOLD. Call them. Doesn't hurt, doesn't cost you anything. Call them and just say, look, here's my situation. Can you help? 800-200-GOLD. Okay, so this is the article. I pulled up the sentences that you need to read here so you can read them a little bit easier. So this is straight off of the UN website. And they say Sustainable Development Goals, or the way we would say it is world government. So this press release, United Nations adopts a groundbreaking pact for the future to transform global governance. Global governance. That's another way to say world government. Specifically, it says United Nations adopts this, and this is September 22nd. Apparently, at this point, it has passed and is already approved. The article goes on to say the General Assembly noted that the pact would, quote, lay the foundations for a sustainable, just, and peaceful global order. That's world government. for all peoples and nations. Now, let's go to what I think is very interesting. So, we first had Henry Groover come in and speak. He was actually our first speaker at Prophecy Club. I remember it specifically. It was August of 1993. Prophecy Club started in June 1993, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I got together a few people, and turns up about 100 people showed up. We met down at the library, and he talked that night, I remember that also, on Ezekiel 38 and 39. But that's not what this one is about. He actually made, as I recall, 6 DVDs for Prophecy Club, which, by the way, you can watch them all at watchprophecyclub.com. $20 a month or $200 a year. Watchprophecyclub.com. Now, this one apparently is in process of being fulfilled. I'm about to shock you with what I'm about to tell you. So, now, what did this guy do? So he walked and prayed over cities, walked over like 500 cities. He would get a map and systematically walk down every street in the city, praying aloud, praying in the Spirit, pulling down strongholds, loosing the angels to do warfare. When he was done, he would go up to a high point over the city, raise his hands, reclaim the city for God, and many times revival would break out. During one of those walks, December 14th, 1986, I remember this story well. He said, I got done walking, so I decided I would walk up and see Carnarvon Castle. He says, I went on top of the Eagle Tower in the Carnarvon Castle. All of a sudden, I was lifted above the earth, looking down on the earth like a globe. I saw all of these massive amount of all kinds of ships and airplanes coming out above Norway. Murmansk is what he said was the location. They headed down between the United States and Europe. They literally covered the whole Atlantic. I looked over in the globe of the United States, and I saw coming out of the United States these radio communication towers. And at the time, he didn't know what they were, because in 1986, there were no cell towers. But later, he says, that's what I saw, cell towers. He said, coming out of the United States, these radio communication towers, I saw the jagged lines that show that communications were coming out. All of a sudden, they began to sprinkle down on the earth like dust. And I thought, oh no, they're not getting through. They're not getting through. They don't know what is happening. They're totally oblivious. Then I began to see submarines emerging from under the surface. I was surprised at how close they were to our borders. They were in our territorial waters. He said it was almost like they were parked on our beaches. Then I saw missiles come out. It took less than 60 seconds from launch to detonation. I saw one hit Seattle, Bellevue, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Miami, and Tampa. I saw 6 nuclear blasts that just literally leveled everything. I cried out and I said, oh God, when will this be, and what would be the sign of its coming? Now here is the interesting part. I heard an audible voice speak from behind me and say, when Russia opens her doors and lets the masses go, the free world will occupy themselves with transporting, housing, feeding, and caring for the masses, and will let down their weapons and cry peace and safety. Then sudden destruction will come. Then is when it will come. Now, the point I want to bring to your attention here, when Russia opens her doors, I'm about to show you an article that says that Russia has opened their doors. Now, this particular article is they're inviting people to come in. Does it stand to reason that if Russia is inviting people to come in, if they're opening their doors for people to come in, does it stand to reason that the next step is they're also about to say, if you don't like it here, you can go? Look, if I were leading Russia and I wanted to attack America and I wanted to get rid of all of the disgruntled grumblers and complainers and those people that might be traitors, I would want them to leave my nation. That way, I know that the ones that remain in my nation are loyal to me and want to be here. This is one of the things that I would do if I were in that position. Now it says, when Russia opens her doors and lets the masses go. That has not happened. But Russia has opened her doors to people coming in. Oh yeah? So here it is. When Russia opens her doors, This is an official internet document posted on the internet. You can see the date, September 17th, 2024. It says, Order of the Government of the Russian Federation, and it gives the date, in accordance with the paragraph, blah, da, 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 and it goes on to say, if you don't live in any of these nations, you are free to come in. You can apply for a visa. I might add, United States is one of the nations. They don't want people going to Russia from the United States. Why? Because they're trying to clear their ranks. They're trying to get rid of the traitors, and they're trying to bring in people that would be favorable for Russia. Actually, that's a pretty smart step. While our southern, and northern borders both have been opened to bring in people that want to be in America, so they say, in my opinion, a lot of them are, like Trump says, they've opened their insane asylums, their their prisons, and their jails, and I will say this, they're low lifes, they're people that can't find a job. Look, if you can't find a job in another nation, what makes you think you're going to find a job in a nation that has a higher requirement of skill level than the last nation you left? Okay, so what we're getting is the worst of the worst. They can't get a job in a low-level nation. How are they going to get a job in one that requires things like education, morality? Okay, now let's go to the next thing. I ask everybody to pray, and I don't know if they've taken it down yet, but there's legislation that we're asking people to pray against, that the UN would not form a world government. Okay, now as further proof that our dollar is about to die, this is straight out of Wikipedia, because it's talking about the 2024 BRICS summit. And it says Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, which is where they get BRICS from. But they also say that there's Ethiopia, Egypt, Iran, United Arab Emirates, but other articles say that there's now like 159 nations. They're holding a summit, and that summit is going to be, as I recall, October 12 and 13, October 22, 24. There it is. And Putin is now confirming 34 additional nations are interested in joining. What are they doing? They're doing away with the dollar. They're going around the dollar. And see, Shane Warren was told the thing that will start the financial fall, the death of the dollar, is when they start selling oil in another currency other than the dollar. And he was shown that they would be scheming to kill the dollar by selling oil in another currency, and that's what this is talking about. They're going around the dollar. Here it is. This is the BRICS Summit, October 22, 24, and a lot of people think that that is when they will introduce their new BRICS currency. So it's very possible in October we're going to see our dollar start to fall. Now, further confirmation. Do you recall that Coverstone, I'm going to read it here in just a second, said that all of the ships worldwide would be standing still, and that was associated with suitcase nukes. Well, here it is. Port officials brace for potential strike by dock workers along the East Coast, September 20th. $240 billion in goods move through the two ports each year, and 600,000 local jobs. Try to imagine 600,000 people laid off. According to the union, a strike would affect ports from Maine to Texas, 6% of the U.S. shipping traffic. So why are they doing this? My suspicion is it doesn't have to do with the economy as much as it has to do with the Moloch and Baal worshipers shutting down our society because we're about to take away their financial system. We're about to take away them owning and controlling America. So they're shutting down America. I don't think it's going to stop here. I think that the prophecy, which I'm about to read, says it's going to continue to where no ships on the planet are moving. Only one organization could cause that, and that would be the Moloch and Baal worshipers. It goes on to say the ILA has threatened to strike if a new labor agreement is not reached by the time the current contract expires on October 1. The odds of a rare strike are now rising. Loading and unloading cargo, containers, and automobiles would come to a standstill. Cruise ships would still move. The two ports are currently unloading about 20 large container ships a week. That's a lot. And they expect 150,000 containers to be unloaded ahead of the strike deadline, Rooney said. Ocean carriers are beginning to put embargoes on export cargo. In other words, the whole world is shutting down their shipping. It's not just America. So that doesn't come into the East and the Gulf Coast ports and then wind up just sitting there. Other container ships, they say, will be moored at specific spots in the New York harbor or off the coast during the strike. In other words, it sounds like what I'm about to read from Coverstone is in progress of happening. All the ships shutting down. The union is demanding sizable wage increases for its members as well as production from job-killing automation. So let's read what Coverstone said. 2020. And of course, this was before the election. And in 2020, we thought, maybe this would take place in 2020. And it didn't. Nor 21 or 2 or 3. But is it going to take place in 24? It looks like so. Watch. I saw the calendar of December, and I saw the finger underlined slowly, and it was pushing slowly, forcefully under the line of the name December. And it flipped over to January, then underlined it just as slow and was pushing. Then the vision started. The first vision I saw was long food lines. Well, why would there be food lines? Because the dollar just dropped by 30% down to zero? Are we about to see that? I saw people waiting for what seemed like hours, standing in line, not in cars. Why are they not in cars? Suitcase nukes went off. The EMP fried the computer chips. The car is dead unless you want to haul it with oxen or horses. Okay, it's not going to start ever again. It's an impossible task to replace all of the chips. I saw this throughout the nation. Wow, that's not just 8 or 10 suitcase nukes. They say there's some 35 in America. I saw ships and ports on the both east and west coast just sitting idle, nothing moving at sea. Nothing moving at sea. Nothing. Again, this is all in progress, my brothers and sisters. I saw a headline that said Baltic Dry Index is dead. What's the Baltic Dry Index? Well, that's a measurement of ships moving around the globe, and it's been going for over 100 years. And I didn't look it up, but my guess is it's never been stopped before, never been dead before. But again, since we're taking back their financial system, since we're kicking them out of their government of America, the devil's not going to go quietly into the night. And this is what he's doing. He's saying, okay, well, I'm in charge of this, and what I'm in charge of, I'm going to start shutting down. I have the suitcase nukes. I'm going to bring them out. So anyway, I saw a headline that said Baltic Dry Index is dead. They said that nothing was moving a trade around the world. I used to think, well, maybe that's suitcase nukes. No, I think that's now the Moloch and Baal worshippers in charge of it. I noted that there were no Christmas lights. This was December, and there was no holiday displays. There were no sales mentioned, no Christmas lights, no Christmas delays. Now, hang on. If this is going to be happening this year, and here we are, what says September the 23rd, it would occur to me, they're going to start putting up Christmas lights and getting ready for Christmas right after Thanksgiving. So it would occur to me that this has got to start happening, sometime before Thanksgiving. In other words, in the next few weeks, we could, I'd say we will. I'm a watchman. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it certainly looks like there's a good possibility. I noticed there were no Christmas lights. This was December. There were no holiday displays. No sales mentioned, no Christmas lights or Christmas displays. No Santa Claus, no Easter, no Christmas type things going on at all. It was a great sadness over the land. People seemed very dazed and very confused. My guess is by this time, the dollar has fallen. All of the ships in the sea are stopped. They've come out with a new financial system. Maybe the dollar is still down at the bottom, worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. I don't know. But there were Christians who stood out because they had faith. That's the point. We need to all be ready to go to work. People that wouldn't hear about Jesus all of our lives, when this trouble hits, the Holy Spirit's going to start opening their eyes, opening their heart. And that's when we, see, there, as I said Sunday, I said some people, when they hear about the world and the things of this world dying, they'll go, oh no, I can't take it. But for us soul winners, we say, hot dog. Now, finally, people will start listening. Finally, people will start asking Jesus in their heart, start repenting. That's what we're looking for. Christians who stood out because they had faith. They had hope in Christ. They looked like burning charcoal. They were carrying torches wherever they went, the Word of God. A lot of people rejected their approach, but they kept the faith. They didn't back down from telling people about Jesus. They kept telling people that they desperately need Jesus at this moment. They said, you need Jesus now. You need Jesus now. You need Jesus now. Don't wait. Don't wait until tomorrow. You need Jesus now. A lot of the message was rejected, but there were some who were coming and surrendering and praying and being saved. That's what we look for, my brothers and sisters. I saw what looked like shopping malls that had been converted into shelters and living quarters. You might want to go to josephskitchen.com, Joseph's with an S, josephskitchen.com. Get yourself some food. They ship it out within 24 hours typically. Get yourself some food. Most of this long-term storage food, you're talking $9,000, $10,000 to feed one person for a year. Joseph Kitchen, you can do it for about $1,000 a person. josephskitchen.com. My suggestion, it's not too late. You can go there and probably even get it by the end of the week. I saw what looked like shopping malls, converted into shelters and living quarters, like after the Hurricane Katrina and people sheltered in football stadiums. The businesses in those shopping malls were all shuttered. I saw people on cots. I saw food outreaches. I saw people who were misplaced. It was not like a homeless shelter. This was like something bad had happened, and people were in shelters. What's the bad? Dollar blowing worthless as leaves in the wind. Suitcase nukes going off. All of these ships shut down all around the globe. Nothing moving. Okay? We've been telling you this stuff for a long time. I continue to see shuttered properties. I saw people in homes wearing coats with closed curtains. Does that tell you the time of the year? That has been a constant thing in the visions. People inside their homes looking out, seeing what's going on. When I look at the people looking out the curtains, I see more of this dark, gray, snow-like stuff on the road. And I talked to him. Dane had never heard of anything about a suitcase nuke. Didn't even know what a suitcase nuke was. He just was shown this. And guess what fallout looks like? Dark, gray, snow-like stuff. It's like powder. It goes everywhere. It falls on everything. You can't prevent it. And it blows around everything. It's in your hair, your eyes, your ears, everything. It wasn't pure snow like after a fresh snowfall. What was it? It's fallout. Suitcase nukes going off. Then I saw headlines reading, nationwide outages plague the Southwest. Suitcase nuke goes off, fries all the computer chips, and all the electricity goes off, and it might not ever come on again. Another headline said, Americans, by the way, for that you can go to sat123.com, sat123.com. They've got solar generators, at least big enough to charge your cell phone and maybe keep a computer running. Okay, go check it out. Americans don't know who to blame for the darkness. Why? Because the suitcase nukes have been here since the 80s. Okay? Some of the darkness stretched into Canada, stretched north into Canada, but it's not everywhere. I saw America with lights flickering. It was like the whole country outlining the United States of America, including Alaska and Hawaii. It was like a light. Before it goes out, it flickers and starts flashing. It looked like America was a light bulb about to go out. Then I saw vultures with food hanging out of their mouth. These vultures were heavy and fat with rotting food hanging out of their mouths. Why? Because suitcase nukes went off, fried the computer chips, all the electricity went off, and then for 2 or 3 days we eat all of the stuff in the refrigerator and the freezer, okay? About a week later, it's all rotten. You got to throw it out, hence rotting food hanging out of the mouths of the vultures. I saw depression as a creature with a face mask and a smile, but it was choking people, pushing them down to the ground. Then I saw St. Louis Arch. I saw people standing under the arch wearing expensive business suits. These are the people that set off the suitcase nukes. Expensive watches. At their feet were large briefcases that reminded me of nuclear briefcases. He even said it. He didn't know that there was nuclear suitcases at the time, but he saw it. Suddenly, all their alarms went off at the same time. They grabbed their briefcases, jumped back into SUVs, and drove off in all directions. I noticed each one of them had a Wall Street Journal newspaper under their arms and dark sunglasses. Then I saw more headlines about market crashes, yields lost. One of the headlines declared sympathy for the swastika, in other words, communism. Communism's trying to take over. I saw tired crowds. Many had lost resolve to fight. Groups of Christians were going around spreading hope, saying, "Remember, Jesus had to flee in the winter," and kept encouraging people with faith. I saw lights all over the country. These lights were churches. Remember what Shane Warren said? He said that the government ran out of money, and they couldn't send out any money, and people had to return to the churches, that there was a great wealth transfer into the hands of the churches, and people had to go to the churches for help. Same thing Danner Covestone saw, okay? Groups of Christians going around spreading hope, saying, "Remember, Jesus had to flee in the winter," and kept encouraging people with faith. I saw lights all over the country. These lights were churches, these churches keeping warmth and hope in their communities. Then the white figure arose out of one of the lights and said, "Brace yourself. Brace yourself on the word of my promises. Do not rely on your own strength." In 2021, I started making bread. And long story short is I believe God showed me that wheat is God's famine food, just like it was famine food back in the 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine, days of Pharaoh and Joseph. And I believe that that's what God has planned to feed his people. And you get it by going to josephskitchen.com. 3 steps. First, you want to get a machine package. Second, you want to order 6 ingredients and watch some videos, download the recipes to be able to make the bread. josephskitchen.com. Most of your long-time storage food, emergency food, all of that, typically are talking $9,000, $10,000 to feed one person for a year. Joseph Kitchen can show you how to do it for around $1,000 a person, and your kids will actually eat it, and it's actually good for you. Here's some bread that I made. In my case, I lost weight, lowered my blood pressure, gives me more energy. I eat a morning, slice in the morning, slice in the afternoon. There's always a slice before I go play racquetball. Go check it out, josephskitchen.com. When the suitcase nukes, I didn't say if, I said when the suitcase nukes go off, if you want your car to start, if you want your computers and your refrigerators and things like that, anything with a computer chip to work, you want to have one of these. From EMPShield.com. EMPShield.com. And they have videos up there. It takes about 10 minutes to put on. It's not complicated at all. And if you use the word prophecy, promo code prophecy, you get a $50 discount, and it helps your prophecy class.